Yeah, and I gave you an answer.
Did
It's different.
no, you did not. My question. I said, do you feel like, in the same sense, that Joe Joe Biden and Kamala Harris should do something towards it? Do
I
you
think
feel
they
like
should
no?
have done something, yes, but it doesn't give them the same level of culpability.
How is it not the same level coach play? He's paying them
Because
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 they
Donald
have a,
Trump is
they have a
paying
great
them
prison
to do
system.
it. Donald Trump is paying them to do it.
They
That's
have
the
a great they have
difference.
a great prison system.
They,
It's
they
it's really amazing.
are you a
They are
troll?
not they're How am I a troll? They have a great prison system in El Salvador, one
I
of the
literally
best prison
told you,
systems
look
in
up the
in the world.
2023 State
Did I not
Department
answer your question?
look up the 2023 State Department report on El Salvador prisons. You'll find that they were torturing them there. We have accounts. If you want to see more content like this, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel and follow me on Instagram and TikTok at Rinyald. And if you disagree with anything in the video, make sure you join the Discord and we can have a chat sometime. I've got a lot of reasons. I think the way that he's been doing the deportations has been pretty immoral. I think that the things that he's been doing with the Epstein files is really, really questionable. I think that he's undermined basically all the faith that we have in all of our institutions, which I think is really bad. People aren't willing to trust people anymore. Um, he's undermined the results of every election he's been a part of. I think that's really bad. I think he weaponized the justice system. I think that the executive order targeting the law firms that did the crime of winning against him in court was really bad. I think the rhetoric undermining the court's agency is really bad. There's a lot of stuff.
All right. Uh, First, one thing I want to say: there's no proof of an Epstein file list. There's no proof. There's nowhere it shows that there was even a list in the first
Uh huh.
place. But, but there's no proof where it shows there was a list in the first place. You hear me? Or no?
Yeah, I can hear you. So, I
Yeah.
mean, I
Uh,
partially agree. Like, when it comes to just a straight up, like, client list, there's probably not evidence of that. But there's definitely a bunch of people that we know that were involved with Epstein. And Trump's own intelligence has contradicted itself a billion times on whether or not the Epstein files existed, or whether or not they were on Pam Bondi's desk, or whether or not they already released them, or whether or not the Democrats wrote them, or whether or not they exist at all. Like, there's been so much contradictory stuff coming out of Trump's intelligence that it feels really, really hard to trust any of them on it. And I don't know why you would be giving contradictory narratives like this unless you were lying about it.
no, that's fine. I really want to talk about more at the West Point. Like you said, they feel like how he's handling deportation is immoral. I feel like it's immoral.
Can you say that one more time?
I said sorry. I said I really want to touch point at where you said you feel like the way he's doing deportation is immoral. How do you feel like it's immoral?
Yeah, we are paying CCOT upwards of a couple $1 million to store people in a torture camp right now because we didn't decide to house them here. And it was based off of deportations that were done with emergency powers. And I'm always skeptical of the president invoking like emergency powers in order to move things quicker. I think robbing due process rights of people and sending them to a torture camp is something that Americans shouldn't stand for.
Um, I just first say that crossing the border illegally is not a federal offense; it's a civil offense. So they don't get complete due process. And also, uh, where have you ever seen like holding facilities for immigrants
Mm-hmm.
during Biden's and Obama's administration? Do you feel like it's way better and has improvement? They didn't even have beds; they're laying on floors. They didn't run water. They're in cage.
Yeah, that's better than, reports of people having their cellmates beaten to death with the butts of CCOT guards. That's, I mean, regardless,
What
even
proof do
if,
you have of that?
huh?
What proof do you have of that?
Uh,
The same
there's,
statement that has no proof.
there was a
What
state,
proof?
there was a State Department report in 2022 and 2023 on the conditions of El Salvadorian prisons, and we have testimony from somebody who was sent to CCOT under Donald Trump's watch that reported being tortured.
We don't have anything to do with what they do over there. We have something we do in
Well, we're
America
paying,
personally.
we're paying them $1 million to keep them there.
We,
A
we are
little
paying
over a
them
million
million dollars a
dollars.
year.
I think it's
But
over
what
a
they
million
do,
dollars.
we don't have any federal power over what they do. We can't say, "Yo, stop doing that." We can't.
Well,
It's not saying that
why
we're
are
a
we
matter of
paying to keep them
force.
there then?
I feel like I personally not. I think that's really wrong. They're doing that, sending them into a whole different country if they're not from that country. I feel like they should be sent to their own country instead of getting sent to prison in El Salvador. Um, I like to say that I feel like right now, is it going right now? I feel like he's doing a way better job. I feel like he's conducting it very well compared to how Obama and
Well, when you're
down
saying he's
Obama
conducting, when you're
and
saying he's conducting
5
it
years
really,
ago.
when you're saying he's conducting it really well, you mean that, I mean, like, I understand that you say, like, we don't have any jurisdiction over El Salvador, and that you think it might be
Yeah.
wrong that we're sending people out of the country. But the fact of the matter is that we paid Bukele $6 million to house people with no due process in a prison where they torture them. I feel like that's a little worse than anything that you claim Obama did, unless you can show me evidence of something worse that Obama did, maybe.
Can you show me proof where they said they're getting tortured and getting beat to death? You made a statement. I don't see any proof of that.
Yeah,
I definitely feel
if you
like
look
they
up
have way worse. They had way
if you look up
they had way weaker
2023,
laws
if
there
you
in
look
El
up
Salvador.
if you look up 2023 State Department El Salvador prison, you'll find it. Or if you look up Garcia
Is
v.
that
Noam
is that
torture,
during
then you could
is
find
that
that too.
during is that during Donald Trump's administration? Wouldn't you go and
Well,
say,
the
well, that's really
prison
bad what Biden did and Kamala Harris?
well, Kamala Harris and Joe
Was
Biden weren't sending people to CCOT. Donald Trump is paying money to send them to CCOT, where we have credible reports of
so how do you
torture.
not, so how do you so you think that he should have something to do with it? And he should be like, go ahead, stop.
I'm saying
You
that we
think
shouldn't.
that
Yeah, I'm saying we shouldn't be paying millions of dollars to keep them there.
So in the same sense, you should feel the same way that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris didn't do anything. You should be like, oh, why didn't you stop it? But you only care when for some
No,
reason the immigrants that came into America, and then when they came out, and now you care. Why
wait,
didn't you care back
do
then?
you
Why didn't you say
understand?
anything? Why
Do
did you
you
not speak out?
do you understand?
I'm asking you a question. Can
I
you answer
do
my
care.
question?
I do care.
I'm using your logic.
I
You
do
didn't care in
care, but you do
2023. You didn't
understand
care
the
in
difference. You
2022.
do understand the
But now you
difference.
care now.
I keep dialogue treating me, buddy. You understand the difference between being mad that we're paying millions of dollars to keep people in CCOT and the fact that CCOT exists. You understand the difference between those two things, right?
So are you? So I'm asking you a question. I'm saying
Yeah, and
you
I gave you an
you
answer.
didn't.
It's different.
No, you did not. You answered my question. I said, do you feel like in the same sense that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris should do something towards it? Do
I
you
think
feel
they
like
should
no?
have done something, yes, but it doesn't give them the same level of culpability.
How is it not the same level of coach play? He's paying them
Because
because
Donald Trump is
they have a
paying
great
them
prison
to do
system.
it. Donald Trump is paying them to do it. That's the
They
difference.
have a great prison system.
They, they,
It's really amazing.
are you a
They are
troll?
not they're how am I a troll? They have a great prison system in El Salvador, one
I
of the
literally
best
told
prisons
you, look
in
up
probably
the
in the whole world.
2023 State
Did I not
Department
answer your question?
look up the 2023 State Department report on El Salvador prisons. You'll find that they were torturing them there. We have accounts of
I
them
did answer
literally
your question.
zapping the wet
I
floors
did
to
answer your
get all of
question.
the prisoners. So to say that they have a great
I did
prison
answer your
system,
question.
I don't know if you're not listening or
I said right now they have great prison system. I don't know what they did back in 2021 and 2023, and that's not really.
back in
You know, I'm saying
2023, by
right
the way,
now.
that was 2 years ago. Okay, and we have credible reports now of somebody that
How?
Trump sent
When?
of being tortured as well. Look up Garcia v. Noam. If
How?
you look up the torture filing, it will come up.
What year was that?
This year.
This year? Okay.
Yep.
Listen. But tell us, so you care back. So I'm guessing you're just going to argue against prison system in all sense. Because why do you care just about illegal immigrants? Why don't you care about people that actually have to stay there for their crimes they
We
commit?
do,
I feel
but
like you
it,
should.
there's we do, but there's a
Let me talk,
difference.
please.
There's a
You
difference
should
between
protest.
something.
If you're going,
No, no,
if
no.
you're
I'm
going
not
to
gonna.
talk against,
No, no, no,
if you're
no.
going to
I
talk
don't. I
against
have
it,
no interest
then
in letting you
you should
dialogue treat
support
me,
it full
buddy.
way.
I have no
Why are we
interest in
talking
letting
about
you
it?
dialogue treat me. All right, we're gonna have a conversation. If you don't like it, you're gonna leave.
How
Okay?
much how dollars should you? I'm
Because
talking to you calmly, and you keep
you're
interrupting me
trying to make
and
six
ignoring.
points in a
I'm not.
row. I want to stick on the 1 point
I'm
because I
not.
have
I'm
no
making a
interest in
single
letting you
point.
make 6 points in a row.
I'm
Okay?
making a single point.
No, you're
I'm
not
making a
making
single
a
point.
single point.
I'm
So let me
saying
respond
you
to the single
don't
point.
care.
Let me
You do
respond to the
not
single
care. I
point.
didn't finish my
Let me
statement. I
respond to
didn't
the
finish my
single
statement.
point. Let me respond to the single point. The difference
The big
is
blue Latinos will not let you hit.
the difference is that we are paying millions of dollars to that
Mm-hmm.
particular president to host
Mm-hmm.
the people that we are sending them there in those particular conditions. We are the
Let me
difference
say something
between
real quick.
Biden and Harris. There's a difference between watching somebody drown and drowning them. Do you acknowledge that?
We're not drawing them. We're not doing that. I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay, so do you understand the analogy I just made, or
I'm understanding Najee made. You said it's the difference between watching somebody drown and then drowning them. We're not
right?
drowning them.
Uh huh.
We are giving them. We're giving them. We're saying don't come here. We're saying if you're not coming here the right way, don't come here. They come here. There's
No,
consequences
we're
against your actions.
using.
I feel like it's horrible. Let me talk, please. I feel like it's horrible what they're doing to them. If that is true, I'm not gonna say it's fully true. If it is true, I feel like it's horrible what they're doing to the people that live there. But how are you gonna say something but then don't care about it full way? you're making a statement saying,
I've read
"Oh,
the State Department. Why are you
let me
claiming? Why are
talk,
you
let me
claiming that I
talk.
don't
Why are you
care?
not letting me? Why are you not
Because
letting me
you're
talk?
gonna talk for 5 minutes.
Calm down.
Again, this is not what I'm interested
No,
in.
I'm
If
not.
you
I'm
want to
saying
just do dialogue,
I have not been talking for
if you
30
just want to
minutes. I
give
have
me
not been talking for 30 seconds.
speeches, I
I've not been
don't
talking
want
for
you
30
up
seconds.
here. If you just want to give me
I'm
speeches, I
not.
don't want
I'm
you up
not.
here.
I'm making a statement.
You're
I'm
making
making
a
a statement.
fucking
I'm
five
asking.
hour statement,
Okay.
okay? There's a
No, I'm not.
difference. Do
I
you
haven't been talking for 50
acknowledge?
seconds. I
Do
haven't been
you
talking for 50 seconds.
acknowledge? Do you
I haven't
acknowledge?
talked for
Do
50
you
seconds.
acknowledge? Do you acknowledge? Do
What?
you acknowledge?
Acknowledge.
Do you
Acknowledge.
acknowledge that there's a difference between
What?
paying to send somebody to a torture camp and doing
Yes.
nothing because a torture camp exists?
It's not a
Do
torture
you
camp.
acknowledge that there's a difference there?
It's not a torture camp.
Okay,
How is it?
because they're
I'm
torturing the
pretty sure there
prisoners
was. I'm
there.
pretty
I
sure
already
they're
told you
under.
that.
I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure those are two different presidents that are there at the time, but I'm not sure. I'm not even checked. But that's what I was saying. Were they two different presidents at the time?
Yeah, there was
Yes
a
or no?
different president in 2022. Do you not
Exactly. So
now?
stop
Do you want me to
backing. You
reiterate the difference
clearly
that I have
know.
explained to you 5 different times?
So you just made a statement. You said they're doing this. I said, well, are they two different presidents? You said yes, they were.
Okay.
Okay, so how you? So he's
Do you know that?
see
All
as a
right.
president.
So
Let me talk, please. Let me talk.
steelman me. What is the
Let me
difference
see.
between these two presidents? What was the difference between the two presidents that I pointed out to you like 4 times?
What? I just answered your question. Right?
Go ahead, answer it.
I've made a
What's the
statement.
difference?
You're trying to answer my question. What your question was crazy, but
No,
I'm fine to
because
answer your question.
you're just trying to like concern troll me about
Um,
like why didn't you care
I'm
about
not
these
concerned about
people? And also,
I
it's
didn't.
not a torture camp. So
I'm
I
not
just
very
want you
calm
to
myself,
answer. I just
so I
want you
wasn't
to
doing
answer the
something like that.
questions that I'm asking you, okay? Because it's my
It's
live.
fine.
I could just kick you.
It's fine. Kick me. I
Do
don't
you
care. They're
understand the
nobody.
difference between those two situations?
Yes, I do.
Okay. So instead of saying, oh, well, it was a different president, just acknowledge the
I don't
difference.
sound like that, but you do.
We are paying to send them
Okay.
there, correct?
Okay. All right. Was it in? I think 2021 and 2023. I'm not sure. I don't know about 2023, but I'm pretty sure it was two different presidents in El Salvador.
In El Salvador. Well, first of all, I didn't bring up 2021. I said 2022 and 2023.
My fault.
And both of them were
2022 and
Bukele.
2023.
Yeah,
Were they
both
not?
of those years were under
Were they?
Bukele.
Were they?
Yes. But regardless, the U.S. involvement in it didn't come until Donald Trump paid $6 million to store immigrants there.
Was it?
Yep.
Give me a second. Let me look that up.
Okay. Also, we're 1v1ing to the people who are asking to come up and chat. We are doing 1v1s. And just as a little promo plug, all right? I've
You
written
hear me?
extensively on this.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You hear me?
Yep, I can hear you.
He was elected in 2024. He was not under. It was
Who?
not under him. He was elected in 2024.
Who?
So, the president of El Salvador. President of El Salvador. He was elected in 2024. You want to look it up? You look
Yeah.
yourself. I just looked
Yeah,
it
we're
up.
looking it up. In office, May
Yeah.
2025, he was the mayor of San Salvador. Assumed office as the president in 2029 or 2019.
Where are you reading this? I read
Wikipedia.
myself. You just look it up. You just put.
I'm on
Wikipedia.
Wikipedia. I'm on Wikipedia. I just sent it to
Just
you.
look it up. Just look it up. Look it up.
I just
When was
looked
the
it up,
president of El
buddy.
Salvador elected? I just looked it up myself. It said 2024. Look it up yourself.
Incumbent,
You're clearly
assumed
lying.
office, June 2029. Or 2019.
What?
Fuck, yeah, 2019. June 1st, 2019. Incumbent, 81st president of El Salvador. Nayib Bukele. But, you know, nice own, alright? Except pretending like I don't care about the people of El Salvador. Where you're trying to, like, Google around to get gotchas on me. Like I didn't read up on this. Do you know what a state of exemption is?
Wait, you hear me?
Yeah,
I'm back. I like to say I was wrong. I like to say, yes, you're right. This is the 2020, 2019.
yeah,
It's been
2019, June
just over 5 years.
2019.
Uh,
Okay,
yes, I like to continue.
okay,
Yes, I like to say I was wrong. I can make wrong wrong. Uh, but yes, you can continue.
okay. So
I'm not saying you don't care about the people of El Salvador. I'm saying you're picking and choosing when you do care.
I'm pretty
I
sure you
said I brought up.
explicitly
You
said I don't
said
care
in
about the people of El
2020, in
Salvador.
2022, and 2023. I said why didn't you? I said why didn't you care back then? Why do you care now? Why do you care when it's illegal immigrants going there? Did you care back then?
I didn't do politics back then. I didn't do politics in 2022.
Yeah. So are you frustrated now? That so are you frustrated that they're
Yes.
doing this to our prisoners, not just the ones that are okay?
I'm
It's
yeah,
amazing.
I think
That's a great
torturing
step.
I'm gonna take the very, very brave position that torturing inmates is bad. Yeah, I'm gonna go out on the limb and say that
That's horrible.
torturing prisoners is not good. That's not a good thing. But I
That's
don't I
horrible.
don't think that
Uh,
anybody's a particularly huge fan of the way that Bukele is treating its gang population.
Give me a second, real quick. Liberal Hawk. Uh, Crossing the border illegally is a civil offense, not a federal offense. You do not get full due process for a civil offense.
I don't know, where did you hear that?
You can look it up yourself. You don't have to get full due process. And also,
Well,
you have
but the
to. I know
problem.
if
No, no,
you're
wait,
if
hold
you're
on.
a legal
You're
immigrant,
just
you have to prove that you've been in the country more than 2 years.
you're misunderstanding what due process
Oh,
means. So due process just
I
means
completely knew.
due
A
process
court
just
hearing, yes, I did
means
know.
no. That's not what due process means. Due process usually results in a
What is
court
it?
hearing. Due process just means you
What is
are
it?
afforded the rights that are afforded to you by law. If by law you are afforded
Blah,
rights,
blah,
the
blah.
whole group is afforded those rights. And if you're not afforded those rights, that's a
What
violation of your
rights?
due process. Okay.
What
So to
rights?
say that somebody's not afforded due process
I never said that. I
is
said you don't get full
necessarily
process. I said you don't
contradictory.
get you don't get full due process. I never
Okay,
said
but
that.
these people
It's a civil
did
offense. You don't get full civil
these
offense for
people
due
did have the
process.
right to challenge whether or not they were deportable under the Alien Enemies Act, right?
They have to prove that they were in the country past 2 years, and I guess you can't really do that if you're
The
undocumented
people that we
illegal
sent to
immigrant.
El Salvador were not subject to expedited removal. That's not how. That's
I know
not
that.
what. Okay,
I
so
know
you're
that.
describing expedited removal. The two
I'm
years.
not.
The
I
two
am
years
actually.
has
I said
2 years has nothing to
you.
do with the thing that these people were deported under.
Uh, yes, you have to prove
These
that you're. I said you have to. There's way you bypass by due process by for deportation of illegal immigrants by if they're able to prove that they've been in the country past longer than 2 years, or it's really difficult to prove that if you're an undocumented illegal immigrant or they've been within a
so
couple. I
for
forgot the
this
miles of the radius for being of the border. I forgot fully what was
yeah
the
you're
miles.
describing expedited
Uh,
explaining
I am describing
expedited
it.
deportations. That's not what
I
these
am
are.
describing it.
That's
And
not
then
what these are.
also
That's not what these were.
people and also that people claim yes it is people and also
No, wait, hold on. No,
then
no,
they have
no.
a criminal
They
offense.
were they were
I'm trying to
deported
make a
under
statement.
they weren't deported under expedited removal
I just said
processes.
yes
They were
because they were
deported under
criminals as
the
well.
Alien Enemies Act. That's a separate thing.
And what's that?
The Alien Enemies Act is the thing that he proclaimed to say that Venezuelans, a part of Trinidad are perpetuating an invasion into the United States, so we can remove them. But it has nothing to do with
So
the standard expedited removal processes.
that's a lot of reasons why I don't think okay. Um uh lost my train of thought. Let me think.
And listen, it's okay that you didn't know that, all right? I'm not trying to do gotchas,
I
okay?
did.
I just want to have a conversation with you. But the problem is that you keep trying to get like these debate dunks, these owns, and that's not what I'm interested in. I just want to have a
I'm not
conversation
trying to
with you,
get,
okay?
I'm trying to have a conversation.
I no, you're not. You
I'm
came
just
here
trying
in
I'm just
such
trying to
bad
I'm
faith,
trying.
okay? You came here
How?
in
I'm
such
coming
bad
such bad
faith
faith. How?
because you came in here and tried to say that I don't care about the people of El Salvador, and then you couldn't
I
tell
didn't say
me
you didn't
when
care
he
about
got
people El
elected.
Salvador. I didn't say you didn't care about people El Salvador. I said I said you didn't care when it was having to just inmates. Before it became when we just saying that I can't speak English. When we're saying immigrants to that, I feel like it's really wrong. I feel like we should never do that. I feel like I do not agree when Trump does that. I do not agree with that. I feel like they should be sent back to their country of origin. I feel like they shouldn't be sent to El Salvador. Um, and also, I like to make a statement that No, that's really my one statement I want to make. Continue.
Okay. So, under the Alien Enemies Act, which is what we used to get rid of these people, you have to be able to, at a very fundamental level, everybody in America should have the right to challenge any accusation that's made against them by the government. Do you agree?
Yes.
Okay, I'm glad we agree there. So if these people were reported being shipped, like put onto planes as quickly as possible, when they asked questions to certain ICE officers, they were answered with nothing, and they were repeatedly reassured that they would see an immigration judge, but then they never got the opportunity to see an immigration judge before they were flown off to El Salvador to CCOT. That's a violation of their due process rights, correct?
I guess yes, the Alien Act. Yes, I guess I understand that is. I guess yeah, that would be a violation of their due process right.
Okay. And I encourage you to look at that State Department report on CCOT because this is a prison where we have extensive documentation of multiple released detainees saying, hey, the cops beat me here. Like the one person said that the cops were beating him with wooden batons if he couldn't get dressed into his prison issued clothes quick enough. So this is, we are sending people with no due process in violation of a right that you agreed they should have to somewhere where they're going to be tortured. I don't understand how you can come up and support the person that is ordering this.
I don't fully agree with everything that Donald Trump does, but
Well, that's
I
like
would
a really,
agree
really
that
big thing, though, right?
I guess in some sort of sense, yes, it is a real big thing.
So what has he done that's good enough to outweigh that?
Uh, Improving our economy by I think 2.5%. I can't fully remember the numbers. Having $24 billion left over,
So
like
I'm asking,
having
I'm
happened in
asking,
20 years.
what has he done? Like, what actions has he taken? Don't just give me like numbers, because like even the one number that you cited, improve the economy by 2%. I don't even know what that
20,
means.
twenty-five
You can't measure the economy in one in one number. So I don't know
GDP.
what that means. GDP rising isn't necessarily even a good thing. And
It is
didn't he also have a net negative in GDP the one month?
when
Like a hold on, let me see.
we have the highest increase since 4 years. What are you talking about? You know, I agree that our economy has proven over 4 years. We had the highest economy since 4 years.
You keep saying the highest economy. That's not how we.
We have
It's
the highest
not how
improved.
we
We have
measure
the
things.
improved economy. That's kind of how we measure things, right? I'm pretty sure I did my research on this before, but
Fuck. What's the term for when you're in negative in production? What's that called?
debt,
No,
debt.
that's no. Oh fuck. Wait. Hold on.
Um,
Oh my god. Give me 1 second.
fun.
Trump. Yeah, between January and March 2025, the economy shrunk by 0.5%,
Hmm.
aka GDP shrank 0.5%.
Where are you getting this from?
Um, Give me 1 second. That was just the AI summary that Google gave. I can give you a better number or
It's
a
fine.
better
Let me a second real
source.
quick. Let me look something up real quick.
GDP fell in the first quarter, but the picture was complicated by a rush to import goods and build investor inventories before high tariffs took place. Yeah, this is The Economist. Is it fair to say that he might not have known about CCOT a few years ago? if you do say that, if you do say that he didn't know about CCOT before sending, like, paying millions of dollars to send them off there, I would say that it's probably the president's due diligence in order to know if the country that you're paying millions of dollars to store prisoners in has a history of mistreatment towards prisoners. I would say that that's part of your obligation. But oh, Delta is watching in YouTube. He said, What's up with the auto pen? Nothing. Nothing is up with the auto pen. The auto pen is fully manufactured. It is not a problem. It's not anything. Okay, while Saint is looking, we'll bring up Papa MYRPH. How's it going?
Hey, what's going on, man?
Just hanging out. How you doing?
Doing good, dude. And it's Murph. It's Papa Murph. Just
Papa
freeze.
Murph. Thank you, buddy.
Papa Murph. And you also have a
Rinyald.
Y in your name.
Yeah,
Rinyold.
Rinyald. Yep.
All right. All right, I'm gonna change now it's Papa Myrf. Myrf.
Okay,
Because I have
sounds
to
good.
call you that.
Sounds
No,
good.
I'm just kidding. Uh what's good, man? So I see you got a little prompt up there. You think Trump's been terrible? Come up,
Yes.
request.
Yes. Correct.
Here I am. I
Okay.
don't think he's, terrible. Not a big fan of what's going on with the Epstein thing. I will not lie, but
Okay.
as far as his policies go, I mean, I think they're pretty solid for the most part.
So I mean, I agree with you on the Epstein thing. So I think that the contradicting narratives around everything has been really, really suspect. The fact that he's been, saying that the files are on my desk, but they don't exist, but we already released them, but the Democrats wrote them, so they're not trustworthy. It feels like, why would you be contradicting yourself so much if there wasn't some kind of nefarious thing going on behind the scenes? But
Well, look, you got to give the devil his due, right? And so this is my thing. The position that's put forth by the DOJ is something akin to the reason we don't want to release much of these files is because there's sensitive information regarding children on there that have
mm-hmm,
been raped.
mm-hmm,
And it's like, okay, fair enough. This is what I'm looking for. This is what I want. And yeah, I get it. Anything can be said. This is what I want. I want him to come up and say, listen, I understand there's a lot of speculation regarding this, me being on the list. You have to take me a good faith that I'm not on the list. Regardless, there's probably going to be a book out in 30 years. So time will tell. And I'm sorry. And he hasn't given me that,
yeah,
and so it's a little frustrating to see that. But other than that, yeah, at the moment, I can't really, I mean, Trump's policies have been pretty solid, you know.
I
Uh,
don't agree.
well, okay. Here's my thing. You don't agree with it. I'm putting words in your mouth, so correct me, right? You don't
Mm-hmm.
agree with it. Is it because you think it's a moral wrong, much of the things he's doing, or do you think that it's illegal, or do you think it's both?
In some cases it's a moral wrong. In some cases, I think it's just really, really bad, like or like not coherent aims. In some cases, I think that it's illegal. I think the most brazen showing of its illegality is the immigration plans, but I also think that's the most brazen showing of its immorality. But when it comes to like ineffectiveness, I mean, like I still haven't seen enough to say that I think the tariffs are going to be effective. I think that the aims there that they gave were completely contradictory, and I don't even know what he was trying to make happen with those tariffs. I think Doge was a complete and utter failure, especially when it was at the expense of
Mm.
firing a bunch of the inspector generals. I think that realistically, if you just kept the inspector generals there to do what they have been doing for the past however long, you probably would have gotten more money saved than Doge and less partisan spending and more legal authority to do it. The Alien Enemies Act, I think, has been a fucking disaster, and I think that the humanitarian crisis of sending people to CCOT on the grounds of no due process claims is insane. Um,
Okay, so
yeah.
let's slow it down. Let's get into the nitty gritty. Okay,
Yep.
first things first. First things first. Okay, Doge being a failure.
Yeah.
Doge is a failure in so much that they overpromised. Doge said that they were going to be able to cut, I think it was initially 2 trillion a year, then it was 1 trillion a year, then it was 1 trillion total, and
Yeah.
then it came down to we might get $160 billion in cuts once it's passed by Congress and once the CBO says that $160 billion been cut. So it's a failure in so much as that. aspect of it goes, that they overpromised. But as far as like what they actually did, I mean, let's say they had said nothing, I'd say that it was kind of successful, you know?
I don't agree. So I mean, it just felt like anything that Doge actually had the statutory authority to do, like canceling grants or whatever, it looks like that only saved about $12 billion in regard, and all of it was like hyper partisan, funding cancellations. Whereas like the Office of the Inspector General, which Trump tried to gut on his way in last fiscal year, I think this was 20. I don't remember if it was 2024 or 2023 actually, but it was around 93 billion. And right as soon as Donald Trump came into office, he fired a bunch of them in place of and put Doge in place of them. Only 12 billion in actual savings plus a bunch of security concerns. I don't see the
But
benefit
when
there.
I hear things like only 12 billion in savings, it perks my ears up because yeah, at one aspect, are you trying to say, like, are you very fiscally conservative? And you're like, man, I wish they would have cut more. We need to really get into those welfare programs. We have a serious deficit we're running every year. They're not doing
I
enough.
am definitely a little skeptical about the deficit, but it's more so just that it doesn't look like they were cutting money in the right places, and it doesn't look like they were more effective than the body that we already have to address fraud, waste, and abuse. It just felt like if
Well,
we
okay,
kept the inspector generals that were in the office of the inspector general, it would have just done its job the same that it always does, and it would have done better at it than Doge did.
That's tough. That's tough to make a. It's tough to make a qualified claim on, and this is why. It's because if someone genuinely believes that the inspectors generals are bureaucratic in their own right, and thus they have their own reasons for not cutting the quote unquote waste, fraud, and abuse, then anybody left or right would say, well, they got to go, or we have to get an independent source to come and see that. And when I say independent, I mean non-government. We have to get a
Mm-hmm.
non-government source to come and look at our spending. So I mean, you may say, "Hey, Doge is a failure," in so much that the people on it sucked. Uh, but the concept, I mean, yeah, keep it
I
around.
mean, I'm not
Like,
going to argue against the concept. I'm just saying, like, when we're looking at the numbers, I understand that, like, bureaucracy is kind of scary to people, but I mean, like, 82 billion in audits, 10 billion in successful lawsuits, a 26 to 1 return on investment for the Office of the Inspector General. Like, that seems like a very, very good system for at least finding the baseline, like, fraud, waste, and abuse in the government. I don't know if we needed this new revolutionary body to do it that wasn't very successful in it. And by the way, it looks like may even cost us more money in the long run due to the cuts at the IRS and the payouts that we're giving all of the federal workers that we let go.
I refute those. I refute that last point holistically almost anytime anyone brings it up regarding the fact that we're going to lose money because we make cuts to the IRS. This is why.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we're the money in the same way that you're saying that $12 billion was all that was cut or in specific avenues, right? I'm saying cutting the IRS, like, dude, the function of the IRS is to try and collect tax revenue, right? And
Mm-hmm.
and to make the cuts to the IRS is to say that, well, there's not going to be as much tax revenue that could be collected that is collected. You'd have to run such a difficult analysis to see if that is truly the case. That cutting that more IRS agents directly equates to more revenue to our government, right? And even if it does, it still doesn't solve the serious problem of our debt. You
Sure,
know,
yeah, but if your aim is to cut fraud, waste, and abuse, and one of the things that you do is cut a bunch of the federal workforce at the IRS, it feels like we can at least agree that that's not going to have a positive effect, is it? If we're giving them buyouts saying we'll pay you this much up front if you just don't come to work, like that's absolutely not going to have a
oh,
positive effect, is it?
well, I mean, the reason that the government does those buyouts is because it does. I mean, the numbers do technically add up when you look at the cost of a pension. You look at the cost of how much you have to pay those employees over time to say, hey, don't show up to work for a year. It is. I mean, it just is cheaper when you factor in a pension system, benefits, etc. You know, like when you have to look at what you have to
Sure,
pay
but
out.
I mean, if you're doing the cut, like I'm pretty sure these were like huge cuts to the IRS. So if you're doing cuts to the extent that Doge was doing, that every report I've shown says that it's actively hampering the IRS's ability to actually do its job, which is collecting federal tax revenue. It feels like that's going to really, really hamper the amount of work that the IRS can do, and that's absolutely not going to have a positive effect. I mean, I've seen estimates upwards of 300 billion. Now, whether or not you want to agree with that estimate, that's fine. But I mean, like, the idea that this is going to save money in the long run, or this is going to work towards our goal of saving money, or cutting the deficit, or even finding fraud, waste, or abuse, is just that's just not true. It doesn't seem like that's the case.
Let me ask you something. I'm under 35. Are you under 35?
Yes.
Okay. How do you feel about the what's going on with our deficit?
Pretty bad.
Okay. So would you agree with me that that's a bipartisan issue?
No. Well, kind of. It depends.
Wait a minute. What?
It kind of depends. I don't think anybody. I don't think anybody wants to meaningfully address that. When it comes to actually fixing the debt or fixing our deficits, it's going to come at the expense of cutting very, very bipartisanly popular or programs or whatever. So,
right.
Chances are, I mean, technically, it might be bipartisan in the sense that nobody wants to do it, but nobody wants to do it. Everyone likes to pretend like they're going to do it, and they don't do it.
Maybe I need to rephrase the question because there's confusion. Do you think that both parties have contributed significantly to the debt?
Sure, yeah.
Okay, so my question is, in regards to the future, what do you think we should do about the debt?
I mean, you're asking me to solve like one of the most pertinent political questions in the world.
No.
I don't know.
I'm not putting that on you. I'm not trying to stump the chump. Maybe you just have a general opinion. Do you have one?
I've seen certain convincing things, but I don't understand them well enough to actually make a coherent point. I mean, I can point out that I don't think that this was an effective way. It feels like funding, it feels like funding operations like the IRS or the OIG would be, I think both of them have a provable return on investment. Provably pretty good return on investment. It feels like funding programs like that, maybe I've heard that maybe we probably couldn't afford cuts to our military, but there are certain cuts in certain places that I'd probably be in favor of. I don't know, give it to the Clintons. They're pretty good at it. Ask Bill. I don't know.
I just, you seem somewhat reasonable. I see you saying Trump has been terrible, requested a debate, and I think okay, this is how I voted. I voted on two issues regarding with Trump. I was a very single issue voter. First one was SCOTUS's. I'm in the field of law. I really liked his original SCOTUS picks. And Alito's getting up there in age. He's also discussed retiring. Thomas has explicitly said he's going to retire. And Sotomayor is getting up there in age too. And I thought he's probably going to have to nominate one or two, maybe three. And the second thing I liked was the TCJA. Those were the two things that I was big on Trump. And this is why. This is the second thing. The first one we can get into, but it's probably very philosophical and substantive. The second thing though, I have to choose what's going to directly affect me. That TCJA directly affects me.
Yeah,
Harris
sure.
didn't have a way forward. I have to choose him.
I don't agree with that. I mean, it feels like she didn't have as concrete like you can dissect this kind of policy because the TCJA, I mean, was already there. And Donald Trump's tax proposal was basically just to re-up it. But I mean, it feels like Kamala Harris, you got a pretty good idea of what kind of tax proposals that she would be putting forward. Probably like hiking.
She wanted to tax unrealized gains over.
Yeah, I know, but that
$10 million. That's a terrible idea. That would cost such a.
I agree that that's a terrible idea, but that's the kind of thing. But that's the kind of thing,
dude. That would not have stopped. That would have gone down.
This is going to be kind of a
trickle down.
This is going to be kind of a I don't know how willing you're going to be to follow me down this road, but Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are much more respectful of the process. And if she couldn't get a capital gains tax through, it just wasn't going to go through. We wouldn't have seen the same kind of like authoritarian trying to push through our policy proposals as quickly as possible with Kamala Harris. So even like those like super far out there ideas that Kamala Harris was proposing, I agree that unrealized capital gains tax is a word that I can't say on TikTok. But it wasn't going to happen. And the likelihood of like the wildest policy proposals from Harris happening and the wildest policy proposals of Trump happening was a huge gap.
No, but that's just it. It could have happened. So you could have very well had uh, a simple majority in both the Senate, and you very well might have a simple majority in the Senate and in the House in 2020
There's no shot in
six.
hell that even most of the Democrats would vote through a tax on unrealized capital gains. There's no
Oh
shot in hell.
man, I disagree. I
There's no
think they
shot
would
in
be all
hell.
over that shit like white on rice.
No shot.
The socialism is on the rise. It is
No.
a.
I mean, it kind of
Are
is,
you
but
fucking
no.
kidding me,
Not
dude?
within the
The biggest
establishment
leaders.
Democrats, no.
Yeah, but no one. Okay, the biggest leaders in the Democrat Party are right now are youthful socialites, socialist
I agree.
types. It's Mondamis, it's
I agree
AOC,
to a certain extent, but the problem is
Beto
that
O'Rourke,
that kind of
they Gavin
support in
Newsom.
Congress, that kind of support, I don't even know if Newsom would support an unrealized capital gains tax, but that sort of support in Congress is just not there. She would have absolutely 1000% not have gotten something through like that. Whereas Donald Trump, he has no problem saying, oh, people crossing the southern border, that's a state of national emergency. I have emergency powers that I can use for this. Or like trade deficits, like an uneven trade deficit, a perception of uneven trade deficits allows me to put blanket tariffs on everybody, on anybody. Like Kamala
Look.
Harris
The
wouldn't have used
immigration
those kind
thing,
of powers like that.
the immigration thing was getting out of control. It was getting out of control, and it was getting out of control in so much that Biden, who sent out a memo, right, the Mayorkas memo. I don't know if you're aware of this or not,
Mm-hmm.
right? Mayorkas memos. Do I have to explain it, or do you know what it is?
Go ahead and
You
explain
got
it.
Okay, so basically, Mayorkas sent a memo out to Borders and Customs Patrol and to
Mm-hmm.
ICE
Mm-hmm.
saying that, hey, all these people are seeking asylum here.
Mm-hmm.
And this also went out to the DOJ, and they said, we're going to prioritize these three categories of people that are crossing the border.
Mm-hmm.
People that are seeking asylum. If they don't, non-violent criminals, they're allowed in. People that are genuinely seeking asylum are allowed in, et cetera, et cetera. We're just really focused on keeping only violent offenders out of the country.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone that's seeking asylum, genuinely. And here was the fucking crazy part. That wasn't even the crazy part.
Oh, it's not.
Marcus went to prosecutors and he said this. He said, "Listen, we have finite resources. Use prosecutorial discretion for people that don't show up to their asylum hearings."
That I mean,
What?
listen, I think that there were certain things at the border that shouldn't have been done. Okay, but the answer, it felt like the Democrats, all right, they had the bill in Congress. They wanted to get that through. It had popular support. Joe Biden and I believe Kamala Harris both committed to signing that bill. Donald Trump just wants to live in a perpetual state of national emergency, okay? Like, to act like we're going to get real concrete solutions from the Republicans when all we're getting so far is funding for ICE and it's a state of national emergency, so I can do whatever the fuck I want to. And and the Alien Enemies Act, which robbed people of their due process rights on a bullshit invocation of invasion. Like, this is not whatever like minor criticisms I could have of the Democrats. I agree, when we could probably share it. I agree that the asylum system's all fucked up, but the solution to that being voting for the person who ended up robbing people of their due process rights with a wartime authority to send them to a torture camp in El Salvador is so far off from the answer.
Okay, but what you're not. Here's the thing. We can come to a rational agreement
Mm-hmm.
that maybe the Trump administration tried to skirt certain aspects of the law regarding due process with these people, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so much so that SCOTUS like ruled in a 9-0 and other things that
three
wasn't
three
good and they needed to
times
filter.
three times against that. Yeah.
But here's the thing, and this is the thing that the media doesn't report on, right?
Mm-hmm.
Due process, it like they are respecting the rulings. They are.
Oh,
No, they
yeah.
are. Like
With the exception of Garcia, which I think which
no,
remains
but
to be
even with
seen,
Garcia, they facilitated the return. Like people
begrudgingly.
were like, but
Wait, hold on.
Trump didn't do it. I'm like, Trump's the president. The
But
DOJ got Garcia back.
we also acknowledge, though, that like all the time leading up after the SCOTUS decision for Garcia, they said, we're not bringing him back. They sat on their hands for like a month before bringing him back while he was being tortured in CCOT. Like there was the whistleblower that just came out right now, which has to be litigated still. But the whistleblower that came out where he reported the assistant to the deputy attorney general saying we might just have to say fuck the courts and keep him there because we have no business in that. And
Okay. Then
that's
why is he back?
insane. Because
But
they
why?
wanted,
But then
because
how
they
is he
wanted to
here?
indict him. They wanted to indict him with the human trafficking thing, which ended up being dropped, and now they're talking about deporting him again.
but then the entire point that was made by the left would be a moot point. Would we agree?
Yeah,
Like
I
then
don't give
he
a
would
fuck.
have due process.
Yeah, that's all I wanted. I don't care. You can get him the fuck out of here. I don't care. But I'm saying the idea that he like in good faith adhered to that SCOTUS decision, I just don't believe. And on top of that, if you need to be kicked down from SCOTUS and JGG saying you need to give these people notice, like reasonable process or reasonable opportunity to file for habeas and a habeas petition, and then when it gets kicked back down and when the initial thing for class certification fails, the fact that they tried to say that meaningful process for these people is less than a day, and then they tried to kick them out immediately again, and they had to go up to SCOTUS again, and in WWF or WMM they had to say, hey, meaningful notice of the ability to file for habeas is not a day. All right, the fact that they needed to be kicked down twice on that when they already got kicked down for Garcia, this is not a meaningful adherence to
Yeah, but
to the
listen.
law.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing. What's the tough thing when you look at this from the lens of the law is that this is unprecedented ground. And hear me out, please.
Yeah.
The Fifth Amendment regarding civil litigation,
Mhm.
okay, is unprecedented as to what due process means. When the Fifth Amendment says that all persons are guaranteed due process looks different depending on classification status. So it's
Uh-huh.
like, yeah, they're like, yeah,
That's what I was just explaining to the last guy. Yeah.
but yeah, it's saying like if you're an illegal immigrant
Mm-hmm.
and you're here and they're like, yeah, due process as we define, because we're the DOJ and we're the ones that set this policy, we think it's a day for illegal immigrants under the Fifth Amendment. It's like, I don't think that's necessarily wrong. I think it would be wrong if they didn't follow the SCOTUS ruling. Then I'd be like, okay, that's fucked. But they're
But
following the SCOTUS ruling.
But do we like? I reject this idea that just because there's a technical legal loophole that you could go through that may have a shot at SCOTUS, that means that we're meaningfully upholding these people's rights. Like, do you think it's really fair to say that meaningful opportunity to file for habeas is a day? Do you think that's a fair thing for the government to argue?
Do I think it's a fair thing for them to argue that
Like, do you think
filing for
that like
habeas? Maybe, I don't
outside
know.
of legality, like, do you feel like that's meaningful opportunity to challenge that kind of accusation? When like the precedent is
I
like
don't
10
know.
days.
My gut reaction is no, right? That's my gut, but
Mm-hmm.
I could just as easily be swayed the other way, and it's just because I just have to look at information I don't have the answer to. The first one be is, are they even aware of habeas corpus? That's the first thing. Do they need to be made aware of habeas corpus? I don't think they do. It's a civil court. Um,
I'm pretty
there's
sure
a laundry list of
I'm pretty
things.
sure they explicitly ruled in JGG that they need to be aware.
So,
But
but that's my point. Is like my gut reaction's no, it doesn't seem reasonable. But my other gut reaction is I don't know. It
well
could
then
be.
if we go on top of
I don't
that,
know.
if we go on top of that too, then when we consider that even in the Japanese internment camps using the AEA in what the 40s, the late 40s, even
Yeah.
in that they got better process than they were getting right now. They at least got to go before a hearing board, and they got to actually litigate any of the claims, and
Oh,
like
did they? Well, that was
yes.
after the fact, though. We're talking about Korematsu.
The case was Ludecky v. Watkins, but
Hey, brother, I gotta go. I will absolutely. I'll give you a follow. I will talk to you later, and I will be
yeah,
back on. Okay.
yep,
All right. Take it easy. It was good talking to you, man.
yep, you too. Goat. We love talking to actually real lawyers and not fake lawyers. Okay. Let's see. Sassy men and baby mamas hate Trump. Prove me wrong. I'm sure a lot of people hate Trump. I believe that Ukrainians probably hate Trump a pretty good amount. Um, Minority groups probably hate Trump a pretty good amount. Sassy men, I bet, probably do hate Trump a pretty good amount. I hate him, so you know. The host is the type of guy that complains the cuck chair isn't comfortable enough. Okay. How's it going, Mike?
What up, Big Sassy? How's everything?
How's it
How are
going?
you on this fantastic Monday evening?
I'm doing perfect. I'm doing perfect. How you doing?
No doubt. We're both in the U.S., best place in the world, hands
Yes,
down.
sir. Yes, sir.
No doubt.
Yep, we're big patriots around here.
For sure.
Mm-hmm.
For sure. No better place for economic mobility, hands down.
Probably true.
Hands down.
Probably
Oh,
true.
absolutely true. By leaps and bounds, my man. Absolutely true.
I mean, we're the biggest
Why do you think
economy, so
why
I
do you
mean,
think
I would
everyone
believe
wants
that.
No doubt. Yeah, no doubt. We are the marketplace, right? That's why all these other countries bend to Trump when he tries doing something.
Yep.
You would agree, right? Because
Yeah,
what company
probably.
in their right mind wouldn't want to be in the best damn marketplace
Oh,
in the
yeah,
world?
I agree. I mean, there are
No doubt.
there's a little bit of nuance there, but we don't need to get into it.
Nuance.
A little bit.
There's
a little
nothing
bit.
that
It's a little
compares.
bit of nuance.
Nothing.
It's a little bit of nuance.
Okay. There's a little obfuscation, but I'll give you that.
We do a little bit of
I know
nuance.
it's hard for you to admit that, but
Yeah.
I got you, my man.
Uh-huh.
I got you.
Uh-huh.
So yeah.
Yeah. So
Trump
I
has been
assume
terrible.
you voted for him. Yeah. Yeah, he has been.
Oh yeah,
terrible.
very much a fan of the TCJA. You know, dropping that corporate tax from 32 down to 19, huge economic boon, my man.
Mm-hmm. I mean, hey, if you deficit spend out the ass, you could usually get pretty decent economic indicators. True.
Hey, well, again, you know, there is a point in time to where if you generate enough, you kill that deficit based on the productivity and the increased revenue that you get. So
Did that happen the first time?
I get what he's trying to do, but you know, a lot of people, there's an economic illiteracy epidemic going on.
Jesus.
hell
Yeah,
that-
I agree. There's a thing that goes off if it detects inactivity. I don't know what it does to detect inactivity because I mean my camera's on. It knows that I'm not inactive, but Slay TikTok.
But
Yeah, I mean,
you know, the market volatility has been absolutely fantastic as well. So that's another big win.
I mean, I listen. I'm not gonna pretend like the U.S. economy is not gonna be good. I mean, it's the United States of America.
No doubt. You know, if you want to be a provider and you want to build wealth for your family, you know, there was no better time starting in 2019 because the TCJA was a fantastic policy that
I mean,
administration
like
will
I said, if you want to
benefit for.
deficit spend out the ass, then yeah, sure.
Yeah, but again, that you're thinking small. This is like big picture.
But they
See, 'cause
didn't pay itself.
There's many companies that run for a deficit and then they
TCJA.
generate a new good and service that gets them out of that deficit due to the increased revenue that they get. So
Did Trump get us a
again,
surplus?
no. I'm just telling you how businesses get out of
Oh,
deficits.
okay. How does the country get out of deficits?
Oh, well, increased taxes have businesses generate revenue. If you're going to tax a company less, then they're able to retain that capital, whether it be getting a new loan from a bank if they're choosing, and or just using that money internally to build and grow. So there's plenty of R&D that's
So
going on.
do we agree that Donald Trump has no plan to address any of the deficits or the budget?
Oh, absolutely. If you're going to increase the means of productions for all these U.S. businesses, which in turn hires more employees, which in turn gives more income tax to the government, and if they cut back on spending for said government,
Isn't Donald Trump talking about getting rid of income tax?
It's big picture. What?
Isn't Donald Trump talking about getting rid of income tax and property tax?
Talks about it, but like any politician, he may over-deliver, but his head's in the right spot because the policy as a whole is sound.
How is his head in the right spot if he's guaranteeing cuts on corporations, property, and income? Like the way that you're talking about
the corporate
the way
is the
that
best. The corporate is the smartest piece of it.
But the way that you're
the way that corporate piece.
Yeah, I know, but you're ignoring all of the stupid pieces too, because if you're talking about the corporate tax cuts paying themselves off later because of if you're talking about the corporate tax cuts paying themselves off later because of heightened income tax, but Donald Trump is trying to cut income tax, how is that going to do anything?
Yeah, so you got to go big picture now.
I am going big picture.
You are going small picture. I think you fundamentally don't understand how business works. Which I understand.
Tell me. Okay, so please, then tell me where I'm going wrong. Tell me where I'm going wrong. If Donald Trump wants to increase corporate taxes because that's going to increase the income tax that's going into the federal government, and Donald Trump is also, 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 and Donald Trump is also.
again.
Because you didn't let me finish.
Just because you filibuster doesn't mean you're gonna get smoked.
There's a reason that you didn't let me. There's a reason that you didn't let me finish my question.
Why you keep trying to pivot. Now let's stay on task, my man. I want you to be.
You pivoted to the tariffs, babe. You pivoted to the tariffs, babe.
No. I'm going to explain to you how tariffs offset income tax. So when he says he wants to get rid of that, there has to be something that's going to
wait. So if you acknowledge that we should get lower income taxes, you acknowledge that cutting the corporate tax rate because it's going to increase income tax was bullshit, right? Because we're also talking about lowering income tax, right?
Lowering corporate taxes is for the individuals, high skilled labor.
Okay,
benefits.
So the increase you cited in income taxes is complete horseshit, right? I don't know why you cited that to me.
No.
Okay.
No. You see, now there's two things that can go on at the same time. So now, if they lower corporate taxes,
you can increase
corporations grow.
Okay,
less income tax you subsidize by things like tariffs on goods and services that come into the country.
Okay, and
so
that
when
hurts
you get
manufacturing
outside of the U.S. to build infrastructure and to build, whatever there be chip manufacturers, like what's been the new hot buzz. A lot of this AI data centers that have been going up.
Yeah.
No. Biden didn't do that. If you look at the numbers,
Biden didn't do that.
If you look at the numbers, there were the CHIPS Act. The jobs were nominal. What 7,000 jobs that generated? That's nonsense. That's nonsense.
Do you understand that right as soon as the bill doesn't? Do you understand that right as soon as the bill gets signed, that doesn't generate the jobs immediately? Like it takes time for corporations to build new manufacturing plants.
And again, if it was a good policy, he would have got reelected. So that just
true,
that makes sense.
True.
Because remember, Biden inherited.
This dude is a word that I cannot say on TikTok. That's okay though. Lovey, how's it going? I win. This is what I expect out of Trump supporters. It's literally like, okay, well, what about this thing? And it's like, okay, doesn't that contradict this other policy position? And they're like, oh yeah, that policy position, it's so good. And they're like, okay, doesn't that contradict this other policy position? And you're like, oh yeah, that policy position, it's so good. And it's like, okay, doesn't that contradict the first policy position? And you're like, oh yeah, that policy position, that's so good. It's like, okay, I don't know what to tell you.